who needs the quickie mart? I do.
Thank you, come again. Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. I'm Max.
I'm Chris.
I'm Darcy.
This episode... What episode is it?
Is it 93?
It's 93 today. How are we?
Yeah, even closer to 100 than we were last week.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, we're just going to keep doing
That's
this
what happens.
until we get to 100 and go, oh, we're finally there now.
Yeah, and then we end.
Okay.
And we get further and further away from 100. How have we been?
Yeah.
It's been a week.
Good, yeah. I felt like it hasn't been, it went so quickly. You know?
I guess so. What even happened?
I sound like I got emotional there. Oh, I'm not. I'm just choking on my
Time's
really
going by
difficult.
so fast. I can't...
I'm choking on my own air. Apologies. How's everyone else doing? Stop looking at me. I know my eyes are watering. I'm like, I'm so
Darcy's
sad
really
about
sad
the
that the
week.
week is... It's going so fast she can't even comprehend it anymore. I don't know. I haven't done anything. I've just been at work.
Yeah,
I think.
it's been on a. It's it's only like the 6th day of the month, and it's already been one of the longest months
Yeah.
of the year.
Recording music. That's what I've
Yeah,
been
we
doing.
did that.
Yeah, we did that.
That was
A
on
bit.
Friday, wasn't
That was on a Friday.
it?
Yeah. And then the day after, I went to London to go to Foo Fighters' tribute show for their drummer,
Ooh, what?
Taylor Hawkins, who passed away earlier in the year.
Yeah. Don't go on to the Discords or whatever, and don't go on to any Facebook groups to say who's Taylor Hawkins, because they'll
They'll eat
tear
you
apart.
alive, man. That legit. That was some
I
statement.
don't understand why
piece.
people would do that anyway. Surely it's easier to Google it than ask someone on Facebook and wait for them to reply.
That was a lot
Yeah.
of the comments were just things like, you probably should have Googled this before you put it on here.
Yeah,
And it was
surely you'd save a lot of time. You wouldn't have to wait for someone to respond to you.
Yeah, I
But
know.
then you wouldn't get the joy of being shouted at over the internet.
Yeah, that is true. There was a lot of just scrutiny, mate. It was something else. But then I kind of think you walk into it if you're going to go onto a fan page of people that are very gatekeeperish anyway, and then be like, God, who was this person? And everyone's going to be like, what the fuck are you
You don't
talking
know who
about?
the drummer was for Foo Fighters? What are you fucking stupid?
Did you never listen to music?
I know who Dave Grohl is.
You're a fake fan. Fake fan.
You like rock and roll music, but you couldn't even name one other member in Foo Fighters
Mate,
apart from Dave Grohl.
that Facebook group is literally
And
like
no, I
poison.
couldn't.
Everyone
Yeah, I
on
mean,
it
I
is
imagine a
poison.
lot of people are like that.
I don't
imagine
really listen
most
to Foo
people
Fighters.
probably only know Dave Grohl unless you're like a big fan of
I
him.
mean,
Yeah.
I knew his name, but that's probably because you're a big fan of
Yeah,
them.
I was going to say you're dating someone who's like a massive fan of the band. So
I barely know the names of people in bands that I listen to.
That, do you know what? That's
There's too many.
that's
Can't
a
keep
fair
track of them
comment. I don't either, unless they have either a really stupid, like a standout name, like a stupid name, like.
Tom York.
Well, Tom York's not a stupid name, is it?
It's like a very
Calling you out,
thinking
Tom.
like-
You're a stupid name,
like
Tom
that,
York.
like that band that had, was it Loz as the front person, whoever that will be. I don't know, but
Bunch of them.
yeah,
While
like,
she sleeps, has a lost
I think it's While She Sleeps, but yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like names that stand out to you, you go, oh yeah, that band. But otherwise, now I wouldn't remember. Like what? Why the fuck could I remember? I like listening to the music. I don't know the people. I'm never going to meet the people. I'm not friends with the people. I
Yeah.
respect them.
We're not your
but
friends.
that's
Just-
it, you know.
I don't need to learn your name. Just give me music to listen to. I'll
Yeah.
do that.
Please, I
I don't
love
wanna
your
learn
music.
your
Oh.
Oh, you're here for the drummer from Foo Fighters died. It's like, that's all you need to know. Well,
Wait.
Taylor Hawkins died. It's like,
He was
who
cool
the
as
fuck
hell,
is
though.
that?
He was cool.
Yeah, he was a really
Yeah.
cool guy.
How was it?
Yeah, it was just a really I'd say it was like kind of sad, but also quite beautiful and fun.
Did you get sucked up?
I didn't, no,
No,
man.
no, but it
leave
was
that to the experts. No, I agree.
yeah, but it was just like just a all around great experience. I felt it was just like really, really well like organized and handled.
Yeah.
Like they clearly, it was clearly made with a lot of love. There was loads of musicians who were really close friends with Taylor Hawkins, as well as like some of his biggest influences as well. loads of musicians that I grew up listening to because of my parents. Like the singer from AC/DC came out to do a couple songs. You had two of the members from Rush there who did a few songs. The two members from Queen, they had their own section of the show. I think they did like 5 songs or something. Liam Gallagher from Oasis opened it as well, which was a lot of fun. Paul McCartney came out at one point. Just like really huge like legends that I didn't think I'd ever get to see live, or that, you know, as much as I'd like to see him, I wouldn't go out of my way to see him because maybe they're a bit past it. Especially Paul McCartney. Like, I'm a huge Beatles fan, but he's not very good anymore.
Well, he's 80, didn't you say?
Yeah, he's 80. He sounded a lot better than you'd think he would, but yeah, I think he still wasn't amazing. But it was like just really cool getting to say I've seen them, and just generally you could tell that everyone there just wanted to kind of like pay tribute to this incredible person, and that was the thing that he loved the most, being music. I think he would probably really enjoy the show they put on.
Nice. Yeah. They'll do Paul McCartney's tribute one next.
Yeah.
More than likely, yeah.
He's nearly there.
He's geriatric, man.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like a huge thing because there's like so many musicians that have like exist because of the Beatles.
That's a Hyde Park thing. That would be.
Yeah, a multi-day festival.
Paul, we love you.
God,
Get all his... I know. That was the other guy. Never mind. I was going to say John Lennon, but no. He's already dead.
Yeah.
They probably had a Hyde Park thing for him.
I don't know. I don't think they did anything for him.
What? Really? Why not?
I don't know. They might have done. I don't know.
They
I know.
didn't do all that much for old
I know
John.
George Harrison, when he died, there was a huge thing. I think it was actually in Hyde Park, like a huge tribute show of like all his friends and like musicians who were influenced by him.
It would be.
I didn't even know that. Just a happy
Pretty
coincidence.
sure they had Ravi Shankar, the guy who did the music to the movies we're going to talk about in a bit there as well.
Oh, damn. Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Dave Grohl will get a Hyde Park one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he knows
how great
everybody
were
and
you
anyone.
that you like, okay, can you sell out, where'd you go? Wembley?
Yeah, Wembley
yeah.
Stadium, which is like one of the biggest stadiums in the country.
It's like, where do you, like, you gotta be like, oh, I got to really rank high to get on the Hyde Park. I got to know a lot of people. Dave Grohl knows a lot of people.
The weird thing about that show, actually, it was like, it sold out pretty much instantly, but there was like a huge gap of people at the back. There was like, you probably could have fit another like 1,000 people in there, I think.
Just to stop the COVID.
I don't know if it was like...
Yeah, it can't get you.
I know they released a load of tickets like a couple of days before, so I don't know if
they released a load of COVID. Go!
But yeah, I don't know if that was it.
Get them!
Or whether people just didn't travel because of how fucked the trains are at the moment.
Maybe.
But,
that seems to happen at quite a lot of gigs I've been at recently, where they've been like sold out, but they don't even look it. Like, you turn around and you're like, oh, there's definitely people here who couldn't have gone.
You'd probably get a lot of people who've caught COVID as well and don't want to go and spread it.
Maybe, yeah. And also,
That's still a thing.
Everything's been fucked recently, so...
Yeah, people probably can't afford to travel or
I just
stay
can't
anywhere.
be bothered,
They got
to
to
be
pay
honest.
their electricity bills instead.
I mean, with this show as well, they did like stream the whole thing for free on YouTube. So
That is true.
I imagine there was definitely a couple people who were like, nah, fuck going there. I can just watch it at home.
That is true. It's very dystopian, to be honest.
I prefer that than having to go all the way to London.
Yeah,
a
it
long
depends
way.
on what it is. Yeah.
For us, anyway. It's a long way.
Yeah, we stayed in a hotel that was quite, I think it was like 6 miles or something away from the actual venue.
It looked like a crack house.
Yeah, it was like really, really
Ooh.
dodgy. There was
Nice.
blood all over my pillow.
What? What do you mean?
Did you
what, your
actually-
blood,
did
or
you
just
actually-
like some random
When I
person's
arrived,
blood?
there was like just blood splatter
No,
all
but why
over.
Did you
there.
complain, or did you do the
Yeah,
Chris
did you
thing
sleep on
and
it?
say, "Oh, that's all right"?
Did you
No,
sleep
I
on
didn't
the
sleep
pillow?
on that pillow. No, I was just like, get that away from me.
But you didn't complain.
No,
Excuse
'cause
me.
I was like,
There's blood on my pillow.
You
because
can't.
it was a
you
super
can't
cheap
let
hotel, and I was only like, I was going in there, leaving, and then sleeping there and leaving.
That. Yeah, but did
like,
you have another pillow at least?
Yeah.
I don't know. If there's blood on one pillow, who's to say what the fuck is on the other one?
Yeah, like, did you check the bed sheets and stuff?
Yeah, I did. Everything else was fine.
There was no blood on the sheets.
Yeah.
They were fine. It's just the one pillow.
Interesting.
Sure, if you had a UV light in there, the entire room would be just like pure blue, but
Yeah. Then it
Yeah,
wouldn't be
probably.
like blood at all.
yeah.
And you can sleep soundly. That's fucked up. What the fuck? I had a lot of hotel experiences in my day, but never
I've
blood
never
on
had
the pillow.
Yeah,
That's
neither
pretty
me, mate.
weird.
Yeah, that's what you get when you go to like a really cheap hotel in just like in the middle of London.
You sure it's not just like a place that you've been before, but like you got so smashed that you had a nosebleed the morning after and you didn't realise that you've got blood on their pillow?
You do
Maybe.
nosebleed a lot, to be fair.
That sounds like something you'd do.
You're looking at me, but you do.
You got me. That's me all over. I do that all the time. When you bleed all over the hotel's pillows, I'm not saying you do it all the time, but like when you have done it,
When you do it all the
do
time.
you like tell them? Well, you go, that's that.
I mean, I've never done that before, so
Maybe not. I feel like somebody in your position would,
Mm.
as in somebody who bleeds a lot. You're not
to be fair.
haemophiliac.
You're
but
telling
who
me when
knows?
you went up to Swansea, you didn't
no,
bleed on anything?
no. Like I could feel it coming, so I jumped off the
Yeah.
bed.
Oh, okay.
Put his head in the
It was
bin.
like all
At least
over
you're
the
prepared, I
floor,
guess.
Oh fuck!
but
Yeah,
like
So they
that
wouldn't like,
easily
oh.
wiped up.
Ugh,
Mm.
gross.
Imagine like blood on carpet. You'd be there
Yeah,
for
no, it
ages
was like all
trying to-
wooden floors, so it didn't soak into anything.
No, it's not bad. I guess.
Except the history, soaked into the history.
Yeah.
Mm.
Nice. Thanks, Taylor.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Thanks for that.
we sidetracked
I
like
derailed it,
hell.
but yeah, nice.
Yeah. Cool. Movie?
Yeah, not sure I'd go
Maybe?
back to a stadium gig anytime soon. No, it's just too much effort, especially in
Yeah.
London.
That's why I've sworn off London gigs for the most part.
Yeah, it has to be something.
Has to be something
quite
fucking
glorious,
brilliant
yeah.
and amazing.
Yeah, for me now it has to be someone
given
like
up a
I'm
little
really
bit.
desperate to see.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing is, for me, it's not even that bad because I can just go home. But yeah, there are only certain days and stuff that I would be willing to travel down for and things.
Yeah.
It's just not,
Well,
it's just not worth it.
Obviously, I could stay at your parents', but then I still have to like take 2 days of work, and it's just too much effort.
Yeah.
And you got to talk to Darcy's parents.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be put in that position.
Pet the cat, the evil cat.
You always see that thing at Cannes where Brendan Fraser got a 6-minute standing ovation.
Yeah.
I know you did.
Yeah.
I did see that. I saw it on
Whoa.
TikTok.
Fucking hell, he's back
He is.
with the whale. When's that coming out? And will we be able to see it?
No,
I imagine
and
we
no.
will. It will have a like, decent release here. Darren Aronofsky's quite a big name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who's releasing it.
A24.
So yeah, it could
Yeah,
toss
maybe,
it
yeah.
either way. Yeah, their films either like get huge releases over here, or you don't see it at all until
Yeah.
it comes out on Prime
Or
like
goes
a
to our
year
local
later.
cinema and they charge us a fucking arm and a leg for tickets and we
Yeah.
don't go anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Sounds about right.
I really wanted to see the movie where Brendan Fraser's really fat.
Or we'll end up going to Ferrum again like we did with Green Knight,
Oh yeah.
where it just appears randomly. Oh, look, there's
Yeah,
a screening.
That was more like a luck of the draw
Random.
type thing though, wasn't it?
It was. We just
We really
Max just
got lucky
happened
with
to be
that one.
looking and was like, oh, was it you?
It was me.
Oh. You were like, oh, look, the film's on tonight. And we were like,
Yeah,
fuck.
Trying to clear all my
Okay.
plans on a Wednesday night.
Anyway,
Nice,
boys.
yeah.
Anyways.
Thanks, Brendan. I hope he does.
Yeah.
I hope he gets more work. You know, he's been away for a while.
At least that's getting like more positive like media talk than that Olivia Wilde movie that's just
I
got
was
like
really
all this
hoping
crazy
you
drama at the
you didn't
moment.
fucking bring this up. 'cause-
What's up with that?
Oh,
I
there is.
haven't heard anything about it.
There is so much going on, man. Like, so last night I come across a couple of videos that I didn't really understand, and then like my TikTok was just full of these fucking videos going into it. Essentially, there's some beef going on that Harry Styles and Florence Pugh didn't get along, and
What's the movie
supposedly,
called?
Don't worry, darling.
Don't worry, darling.
Well, it started off Shia LaBeouf was playing Harry Styles' character.
Olivia Wilde said that she fired him, but apparently he left. She was begging him in the car to come back on the phone. There's videos of that somewhere online, apparently.
she
There's a
got-
lot of shit going on.
He like basically Florence Pugh said that they needed to get rid of him because he was like really horrible and abusive to her.
What?
Yeah, and then like all the stuff was coming out because they were like, oh yeah, well he has got a reputation to be hard to work for, and he was like, I never got fired, I left, and then there's all this like drama going on
God.
because supposedly all the shit's going on between Harry Styles and Chris Pine as well. Like they were at this thing yesterday or
Chris
the day before
Pine.
or something. Harry
Pine's
Styles
in it.
was coming to sit down, apparently spat on Chris Pine's lap.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
I've watched
apparently.
the video. It like looks like something happens, but like loads of people said no, he didn't actually spit on him.
No, the thing is,
So I
it
don't know
looks
what's
like
going on.
it,
Yeah.
but someone took a video from. So you know the main video, it's from the front perspective, or is it Olivia and then Chris and then Harry?
It's Florence
Is
Pugh.
that? Oh, that's Florence Pugh. Oh god. So yeah, so it's Florence, Chris, and Harry. And then out of nowhere, some person videoed it from like a side perspective of watching Harry come from the like right instead of front on, and he doesn't spit at him. He just sits down. So I don't
Yeah.
know what I don't know what happened.
When you said that, I'm like, there's no fucking way he spat on Chris Pine.
No.
At least
Could
not
you
on
imagine?
purpose.
Yeah, could you imagine
That's a
spitting on
horrible
Chris
thing
Pine?
to do.
Yeah.
I don't
'cause
think he'd do that.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to any of the drama that's been going on. Because as far as I'm aware, nothing's happened between those two.
Yeah, apparently there was drama as well because obviously Olivia Wilde was with Jason Sudeikis, and I think they broke up. But he's like friends with Florence Pugh, and then Olivia Wilde apparently had like a mini affair with Harry Styles on the set.
Yeah, I've heard about this,
and that
that's
caused
another
even
reason.
more,
Yeah,
like even a bigger rift between everyone.
yeah, because
It's a bit unprofessional.
there
definitely.
was a lot of shit going down on that movie, and apparently the movie's shit as well.
Yeah,
So
I've heard it's not very good.
I saw a clip
so-
of it today, and it just looked like a normal drama movie. To be honest,
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what was going on.
Yeah, I don't know
Harry
how
Styles
much.
was
kind
a
of
bit
a
of a dodgy
normal
accent.
drama movie. I don't know.
Other than that,
I don't know how much of like people saying, "Oh shit, it's awful," is like because of the drama or actually because it's not very good.
I don't know. I mean, the clip that I saw, I mean, Florence Pugh is obviously like always good anyway, but I
Yeah.
know there was something about Harry Styles that was a little bit off, to be honest, but I don't think that's on him as
Because
such.
he's not an actor.
Exactly, that's what I mean. I don't think it's really on him, but then don't
Well, what do
hire
you mean?
him.
You did really good in Dunkirk.
Just don't hire him as an actor. It's a really simple solution.
Was he good in Eternals?
He was in Eternals.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was in the post-credit scene.
Which
So
means
for,
he's
like,
not a big actor, though,
5
is he? Really?
seconds? Yeah.
His
I think
big
it
break.
shows. I don't think he should be an actor.
There was like an interview where he was like, "My favorite thing about this movie is it feels like an actual movie."
I showed you. I sent that clip in the chat this morning, and I was like,
You
"What
what?
the fuck is this?" It's
Sorry,
Harry.
Chris was explaining it, and then you screamed over him.
Sorry, it's because I was like, I fucking sent that. Rage.
Yeah, it was like, "My favorite thing about this movie is it feels like a movie."
What? Don't worry, darling.
Yeah, he was like, "It feels like an
Yeah.
actual movie."
That's what he said
Oh.
in it. Yeah, and Chris Pine's looking at him like, "What the fuck are you even talking
Yeah,
What
he
does
about?"
that
was-
mean?
I don't know. He said he liked acting because he feels like he has no clue what he's doing.
He doesn't.
Oh,
That clip,
'Cause he
does
doesn't.
not.
I don't know why that's a reason to like something.
Because I think it's like because it's like fresh and new for him.
Oh, like it's
Done
mysterious.
music for
or something.
years, so he's like he knows what he's doing there. Whereas acting is like this whole new ballpark.
When I don't know what I'm doing, it fills me with fear and dread.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So, yeah, I guess some people find that kind of thing exciting, don't they? Because they do the same shit all the time, and then they do something else, and they're like, "Whoa, this is fun."
I
You
saw
know?
a tweet that was like talking about how Chris Pine is like this really like professionally trained actor who went to like film school and was like took acting lessons from like a really young age. And they were like, imagine being Chris Pine and going through all of this stuff, and then Harry Styles just rocks up with no experience and gets in the same movie as you in a bigger role.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
get it. Maybe that's a bit frustrating, but I don't know. He's just an actor, Chris Pine. He just he's fine.
I mean, how I see it,
I don't know if I would be like that sad about it.
in it. Like Harry only got the
He's a
part because
professional.
Olivia Wilde's fucking directing it. Let's
Because
be
she
honest.
fancied him.
Yeah, like let's be honest. Has nothing to do with Chris Pine as an actor. It has everything to do with the relationships that people have with people in certain roles and or whatever. You know, I don't think it has anything to do with Chris Pine. Plus, he's a beautiful man and he's a great actor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's solid.
we can leave him
Yeah,
out
Harry
of that.
Styles is possibly only one of those things.
He's a great
who's to
musician.
say, yeah.
He should just stick to that. You know.
I don't know. Well, you never know. Like in 5 years' time or whatever, he might be like the best thing in the world. When he's Thanos' brother in the next Avengers 7 movie.
How many have there been? Like 4?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm starting to lose track. To be honest.
I can look at, 4 of them.
Yeah.
Unless you count like
Too many.
Civil War as an Avengers movie, I don't know.
Which it pretty much is.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't know. 8? Can't wait for Harry Styles in Eternals Dawn of the Avengers. Kang the Conqueror. That's the new one.
Eternals 2, even more eternal.
Electric Boogaloo.
They just keep going. They keep being eternal. I watched that movie and a fucking bunch of them died in the movie, so it's like
Not really that
not
eternal.
that eternal after all.
What's the title relevant for that?
I don't know.
They've been around forever, even though you've never heard of them.
Oh,
Okay.
of course.
That's that. No more talking about Avengers. Fuck that bullshit. This week we watched some movies. You might be able to tell what they are due to the title. But this one was one picked by me. It was my backup plan after my original plan fell through. So this is the one we've got. It's the Apu Trilogy. It's from India. I think first Indian movies we're talking about on this podcast. I was pretty excited about that. These are 3 movies centered around a man, a boy, a young child called Apu. It is his trilogy. It was directed, all of them were directed by a man called Satyajit Ray. Please don't come for me if I got that wrong. And these are very influential movies, very big movies. Swept top prizes at Cannes. I think it kind of redefined Indian cinema for a lot of it. It was like a lot of like traditional Indian cinema at that point. And these came out in the 50s. They were mostly like, I'm reading from here, swashbuckling musical romances.
Yeah, it's basically just like
Swashbuckling.
Bollywood movies.
Yeah.
Because that's what they are.
I haven't seen all that many movies from India. A few Bollywood movies, not really my type of thing.
No.
So anyway, we got Pather Panchali was the first one, Aparajito, and the last one was Apur Sansar. And they all have English translations, and I can't be bothered to look them up. So the first one is called Pather Panchali. Came out in 1955. Of course, directed by the man, Mr. Ray. Satyajit Ray. And
To be fair, you did say that's what you were going to call him. You went,
Yeah.
I'm just going to call him Ray.
Mr. Ray.
Yeah. This one is about Apu. He's a little boy. He was born in this movie. Like, the kid wasn't born, but like he was.
The actual child actor
He
was
begins. He is incepted here, and you see Apu growing up in the outskirts of an Indian town, and in a little village where he lives with his father, his mother, his sister, and I think somebody they call aunt, but I don't know if it's actually their aunt. But they are very poor, very poverty stricken, and it's basically 2 hours of watching these people suffer in poverty, trying to navigate their own lives as their father goes off to the city to go and find jobs and get money for them and hopefully provide them with a better life, as their house is like crumbling and they can't afford any food. That's basically the whole thing. It's quite dour. When we opened the movie up on like Amazon Prime, we watched this on the first 2. It said the dour was one of the words they used to
bleak, I
describe it.
think,
Yeah,
as well,
bleak.
Yeah.
Bleak. I was like, oh great.
And we were like, here we
Awesome.
go.
Nice. Let's go on then. 6 hours of just bleak bullshit. So yeah, what do we think of Pather Panchali to start this off?
It was definitely bleak.
Yeah, it was bleak. Yeah, it was fucking like, oh my god. It was. I mean, most of it was like just getting to know the family. I thought for the most part, and then like in the latter half, it kind of takes like a nosedive in terms of what they're doing, not in terms of the quality of the movie, which I think stays pretty much consistent, but like, oh my god, it just gets so down. It's like Grave of the Fireflies, but
Oh yeah, it's like a punch and then a kick and then
yeah.
another punch.
I don't know if I was like so ultra sad at it. I think it does a good job at conveying their condition that they're in and how they're living. But I never thought like, oh man, I'm so upset now. I was like, oh okay, this is actually pretty bad. What they're going through, but I never felt like emotionally attached all that much to the family themselves.
No, yeah, I felt
think
the
it was
same,
more
to be
like
honest.
I appreciate what this movie's going for, and I understand where it kind of stands in culture.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of like empathy almost. Like you felt really bad for them, but I never thought, oh god, I'm gonna have to turn this off now because my favourite character's died or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I never really got to that point, but I was like, fuck, imagine having to sit your partner down and being like, by the way, when you were gone, everyone fucking died. Like,
Yeah, the dad's gone for most of it. He comes back. The aunt's dead. His daughter is dead. It's horrible. Their house is collapsed.
Yeah, and he's like,
the terrain is flooded.
Like,
what the fuck
it's
happened
all
here?
gone bad. It's fucked. And he's just like, oh,
What the fuck?
cool.
Yeah. I was gone for 2 days. It's like, no, you were gone for like
I think it was
weeks.
I thought it was 6 months he was gone, or 5 months. He
Ooh.
said it was like a long period of
It
time.
was a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Not to see your father, that's
Yeah.
quite.
Mm.
Oh man.
Especially at like that young age that the characters are in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like.
Almost feel like maybe they wouldn't even remember him especially for Apu, who's very young. It's like maybe, I don't know, 5-ish. To not see your father for that long does something to you emotionally, I think. And yeah, I don't know. But it never went too far into that with like, oh, how does that affect Apu? He's kind of like this carefree kid. He's kind of going around just being carefree for most of it, as you would be as a kid.
Mm.
He only sees like what he likes about the world, and there's like all this stuff that he's like exploring around his village. And I guess it's not really a village, it's just like their little house shack that they have in the middle of nowhere, and people come with their like, I don't know, fish or whatever. Like, he wants some fish, like, can't afford any fish. Like, damn, son, damn.
Like, what was that? There was that guy in the film, and we were like, his name is what? And it just turns out he was just carrying something. What do you call him? Uncle Sweetman or something? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Sweetmeat.
Sweetmeats.
Sweet.
Uncle Sweetmeats.
That's not what they called him. That was like, oh look, it's the guy with it's the uncle with sweetmeats, and I was like, they just call him Uncle Sweetmeats.
And then for the rest of it, he was just Uncle Sweetmeat.
Yeah, that guy. I love that guy. So they just like delegated to eating mostly rice, little sticky floury rice that they get from their bowls.
I thought we were
Chris
going
took the piss out of it. He's like, oh, look at this woman eating rice out of the bowl with her hands, put it in her mouth with her hands. Disgusting.
No,
I'm like,
I think what made it worse was that when it began, it was like, that's disgusting. He goes, it's just the way he's doing it. And then all of a sudden, all you heard was, what do they call her in the film? They were like,
aunt or something.
yeah, but it was the mum. She called her something else, and I was like, like sister-in-law or something. And then, and then I just went, oh, okay. And Chris was like, oh, look at the way she's eating that food.
Chris hated it.
It was
Just like the way she was like scooping it up with her hand and then like scooping it into her mouth.
Yeah, that's fine.
So how did you feel about when the sister was like popping her fingers in Apu's mouth with the food? Did you think that was weird as well?
A little bit, yeah.
But that's like
that's the
how,
culture though, isn't it?
Yeah, I
of
guess so.
course.
I don't know all that much about it. Maybe I should, considering I have family in India and like heritage from there. But I mean, when I was younger, we used to like sit on the floor to eat dinner, and that was like what we did. Sometimes we had cutlery. Sometimes we did eat with our hands. But that's just the way they do things over there. I don't think it's that weird. I get like why it might be like a culture shock. That was like, oh, you're just smacking the rice into her mouth with her hands. That's weird.
I just
get
thought
it,
he
but
would
it's
have
like
known.
that's just the way they do things over there. I think sometimes in some areas. I'm not going to pretend like I know every little detail about it. But I really like the part where Darcy said that, was it Durga, his Apu's sister, was like feeding him rice. It's like, just a little bit of fucking respite from their horrible lives. It's like, I'm hungry. It's like, go and see Durga. She'll give you some rice. And she like feeds him rice into his mouth. That's nice.
I did actually like.
It was quite sweet them too.
I really enjoyed like just watching them explore this like different culture kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they do it a lot in this movie, especially where they're just kind of they're almost like painting a portrait of like this whole different world than what we're used to. They do live completely different lives than we do, and I found that like really fascinating. I think that's what I was getting the most out of, because like I've not really seen much Indian cinema, and what I have is literally just like Bollywood, and like it's really like
it's like
over the top and cheesy.
It's a different end of the spectrum,
this
isn't
like it just feels so much more grounded, and they do like explore how it actually is for them, and I feel like I'm actually watching, you know, real people live their lives rather than something that's just made up.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there was a lot to do with, I don't know if it's still a thing, but they can't really show like sex all that much in Indian movies. Like they really don't show it all that much in these movies, or even at all. But like I kind of wanted like maybe more chemistry with the mother and father, because I understand that they were married to each other. I never understood that like they loved each other, you know.
Yeah, they could have been
That's
brother and
kinda,
sister, and I probably would have been like, okay.
That's maybe the culture or the tradition or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
maybe.
you get like a lot of arranged marriages and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of had that in mind when they were kind of like talking to each other. I thought, oh, maybe they're just like friendly married. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I guess it's more about like him having to provide for them.
Yeah.
He's like the man. He has to go out and get them food and money and all that. That's the bulk of it, I think. It's that tension, like, are they going to survive until the next week or whatever? And when the storm like batters their house, and it's like, that was terrifying. Like, when the storm comes, and before that you get like a rain, and I thought that was actually quite nice, and because it hadn't rained until that point. You got the sense that like that land was very dry and arid, and when it rained, it was like, this is quite nice. And like there was a point made where the mother was, I think, Sabajaya. She was like lamenting the fact that like, we need to get a garden. I wish we had a garden. We could just grow our own stuff, and then we wouldn't need to like go into the town and buy things. We could just eat what we grow on our garden. And then Durga, she was planting like plants in the garden. I was like, oh, nice. She's actually doing like, something's being done about that, and like that's progress. And then when the rain comes, I'm like, that's going to help with that. But then she gets pneumonia. Durga gets pneumonia, and then like this, I was like, oh fuck. And then a massive storm comes, and you're like, this is terrifying. It's like, because the house is like basically built on matchsticks.
Yeah, it's like built with nothing.
It's fucking swaying around everywhere, and like the rain is pounding at like the cloth windows, and
because that's what their door basically is as well.
It's so loud. It was terrifying. And then she dies. I'm like, oh, okay. Fuck. Like, that was horrible. I can't believe that just happened. Because up until that point, you were basically just hanging out with them. Like, the first half of the movie is just like hanging out with them. Really getting to know them and getting to know where they live.
I just like hearing Max go, fuck this movie.
Yeah. Because like the aunt died. They just find her nearly dead in the forest. That's a horrible fucking thing for two children to find. That will scar them emotionally forever. And then Durga died, and I'm like, and I was like, fuck this movie. It was horrible. It was so horrible.
No, I thought the worst part about that was Apu, because he was like, oh, she's sleeping. They're like, yeah, she's sleeping. Yeah. And it was like, oh, poor Apu.
You can't rationalise that when you're a child.
No, not really.
It's all the more like horrible when like his sister dies. She's not there anymore. Like, what are you gonna do? How do you rationalise that in your mind when you're a child? You know, it's like almost too much to go through. Yeah,
especially where there was like no one else around, I don't think. So who was he going to hang out with? Like, what else was he going to do?
Yeah, I get the feeling that he probably hasn't like experienced death before as well. Like, at least not to that extent. Like, especially from his reaction, like when he like actually sees her body, like he just looks like so shocked and like, oh, like there's just
Yeah.
something about that shot where he like sees the body for the first time, where it's almost like that's when he realizes that she is gone.
Well, he's probably never experienced death like that before.
Yeah.
And then in an instant, his aunt dies, or whatever they say is his aunt, and then his sister dies like almost immediately after.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could have been that far after, could it?
No, a couple of weeks, maybe.
Like,
It was horrible. And to watch like
yeah.
Sabaraya, the mother, just deteriorate throughout the movie was also like, oh fucking hell, that was like Grave of the Fireflies-y type of stuff. But like everybody's trying to offer her help, and like the neighbouring villages, her family is trying to offer her help, but they live nearby. And she's like, no, I don't need charity.
Just
She had like
dying
a lot of
honor.
pride in her. And I got the sense that like she knew that things needed to be done, but her husband was like, we'll be all right. He had a more optimistic view of it all, but she was, I
Yeah.
guess she was being more realistic. And I guess she was right, but it was also like,
Well, he did,
she was there more than he was, so she
Yeah.
knew what was going on
Yeah.
more so than he did.
but he did come back in clutch. Just came back a bit late, to be honest.
Yeah, horrible scene.
Yeah, it was
When he comes
almost like
back and
the
the
worst
house is
timing
flooded
ever.
and there's just a
Yeah.
cow there, and he's like, what the fuck? He's like, look at all this stuff I copped. I'm like, isn't this awesome? And she's like, oh, our daughter is dead. And his reaction was fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the worst parts of the whole film. Was just like, yeah, just how'd you get to a point where it's like, oh hi, by the way, I know you haven't seen anyone in 6 months, but I hope you
Here's
got
what's
used to not
happened.
seeing them
Yeah.
because you're not going to see them again. It's like, oh god,
Yeah, that scene is like really horrible.
it
but
is. It's
like
the worst.
really great usage of music in that scene where like
Mhm.
basically all the audio cuts out and you know what she's like told him, and it's like just all like really discordant, like loud music, and it's just so disturbing to
I
watch.
actually think it's so sick how the music in the film is basically like, you don't have to scream cry because they'll just play like a violin in a horrible
Mhm.
key and it sounds like someone scream crying, but they're not. I like that. That was
The
cool.
music is fucking
Yeah.
amazing
The way they
throughout,
did it was
throughout the
sick.
trilogy.
Yeah,
It's so fucking good, with a lot of like sitar and all that. Really interesting instrumentation with it. I feel is used very well, and yeah, it's used to accent like how people are feeling, and like Darcy said, with all the like screaming, but like
yeah, no
it's
one's
actually just
screaming.
instruments. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy how they use it.
yeah, it's really great. All composed by Ravi Shankar, is like
Mhm.
probably the most well-known like Indian musician.
Yeah, genius.
Well,
Really great sitar player and just like composer generally.
yeah, when you can make a music noise out of a vocal noise, that's my favorite kind of shit. It was just fun. Well, it wasn't fun, but I thought
Yeah.
those bits were fun, you know?
It was. I mean, like I like seeing all the kids having fun. You know, when they were more like carefree, like running around.
Yeah, 'cause all
Animals
they know-
everywhere.
Like, all they know
Animals
is each other,
everywhere.
innit? Yeah. They're back with nature. They're like one with the earth, and
Mhm.
it felt more pure and
With all
wholesome.
the cats that they like throw around and shit.
Yeah. It's
What's
like
that? Was that the same?
kittens just taken out of a bowl. It's like, oh,
With
look
like-
at that! Look at that bowl. It had cats in it for some reason.
Oh, I thought I was thinking about that bit where his mum just like chucks a cat on the ground, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
fuck.
It's like, all right, I'm done with you. Let's go do something else.
Yeah, she was like,
Chucks it on the floor.
yeah, she was like petting it and just went, there you go.
Yes, I think someone like throws a towel on a cat or something at some point, and the cat's just like underneath the
Stupid.
towel for the rest of the scene.
The rest of the movie,
Yeah,
cat's underneath a towel. Yeah.
never got out.
Poor cats.
Still there.
I like the animals. They were cool.
Yeah, it's just guys running around. Just cows will enter a scene.
Mm.
I don't know if they actually had like just. I get the feeling that it's just like these cows were already there, or like these animals were
Maybe,
there.
yeah. it
Maybe
seemed
not
that way.
cats. I don't know. I feel like they interacted too much with the cats
Mm.
for them to like have just been there.
I
you
just
know?
I just love when Chris turned and said, "Whoa, that goat looks fucked up," and we were like, "That's because it's a cow."
Did look pretty fucked up there.
This goat is fucking weird. Yeah. It was like one point or like a thing ran across the screen. I was like, was that a dog or was it a cat? Like
Oh,
you
yeah,
just
like-
don't know.
It had the weirdest body like I've ever seen.
Was it a man? Who's to say?
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a lot about like family ties and all that, and it was clearly about like coming together as a family more so than like I think because it was a big decision they made to like decide to leave the house after it had been flooded, after Durga had died, after their aunt had died, and all that. It's like, yeah, well, what's left there for you really? You could decide to just stay here and rebuild it all, which is probably where their family had lived for generations, but it would probably have just been easier to leave, which is what they eventually had to do. Probably too many bad memories there as well. And it's just like, you get the sense that was like horrendous for them and like really difficult to do, especially as like Apu finds like those beads that Durga stole, where I think it was like a big point of contention. They were like, "Did you steal these beads, Durga?" She's like, "No, I didn't steal the beads," and it turned out that she did. She was stealing like fruit and other food from like other plots of land and all that, and people like came up to her and like, "Your daughter stole the food from us," and Mum was like, "No, she didn't. Get out of here." And it turned out she did. She was like, I had to slap her. I was like, oh no. That's how they had to survive. Otherwise, they just wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
Because they like, she was like, yeah, no, I did actually. They didn't return the food though. They had to eat it. Otherwise, they would have starved and died.
Yeah, like I don't know, it's something that is like morally wrong, but at the same time, it's like that. If it's that or
Death.
Everyone dies. Yeah, just let it be what it is. Like when
throw morals out the window at that point.
Yeah.
Like when her mum says something like, "Oh, food doesn't have your name on it though, so it doesn't belong to anybody." It's like, okay.
Like, yeah.
She's
Don't come into my house. But I get why she would,
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's one of those like you defend someone in their presence and then like and
that's their family.
Berate them in private or whatever it's meant to be.
You have to defend your family in the face of somebody else.
But you know that they're wrong.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I mean, like, yeah.
When you're on like rations of like, oh, and we'll get the kids 2 clothes for the year.
Oh yeah, we were like,
well,
what the fuck?
You kind of do what you have to do to survive.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It was like that woman who said, when like somebody offered Durga some sweets, and the woman was like, "I cannot tolerate such greed." It's like, what do you mean? We just offered sweets. So much like entitlement from people who like have it better off.
Oh yeah, because she says something like, if she's hungry, she can eat at her house or something like that. And I was like, what?
No, she can't.
What, is the sweet man gonna come along?
The rice monger didn't give her any rice this time. She didn't have the money.
Oh yeah,
horrible.
That guy was giving his life story as he was handing out bags of rice or whatever.
Yeah, like doing slam poetry or something. He was handing out the rice. I was like, damn.
They're hungry.
This
they don't
guy's
care
kind
about you.
of spitting fire. Yeah, nice.
I really like the like loose feeling of the movie. There isn't really like a clear narrative to the movie. It's just kind of like a bunch of things that happen. You've just seen these characters kind of be developed. I think it was like based on like all of these movies are based on novels. And for the actual like there wasn't an actual script like adapted from this novel, at least for this movie. Apparently Ray just like made loads of like drawings and notes and stuff and just kind of created scenes based around them.
It was a bit like a fucked up documentary.
Works quite well. It does, it does really feel like a documentary.
But like a really fucked up one where we're watching people die and not help them.
If they like turn to the camera like, you help us like just a bit.
No.
Yeah. It was also like made on a really small budget. I think half of it was actually funded by the Indian government.
Yeah.
It took them like 3 years to make it, and the director and I think the cinematographer as well had never made a movie before. They'd never like shot anything. So
yeah, and
like, it's
the
like
actors,
kind of like,
or like the kids at least, like no, they weren't anything. They just
it's all just like
in there.
Everything's just like first time people, and it's like surprisingly really well made for people who'd never who had no experience doing that sort of thing.
Well, it's authentic. It makes it feel a bit more authentic.
There's probably a lot of personal
There's a way to do that insanely
you
wrong. Like, you could have just done it completely wrong, but it's good. What do you know? Against all the odds, it's fucking a good movie. How did you do that?
Yeah, maybe there's like some bits that can come off slightly amateurish, but never to the point where it's like ruins the movie. It just kind of like just adds to it.
Yeah,
Never takes me
definitely.
out of it.
No. You just sitting through it. It is like a hangout movie, except at the end, everybody you like dies.
Like, I
thought we were hanging out.
Yeah,
Now this
hanging out to
bullshit.
die.
Yeah. Horrible.
Yeah,
It's like apparently heavily influenced by like the Italian neorealism like movement from
Yeah.
like films like Bicycle Thieves and stuff like that, and it does kind of like
I can see that.
it really has that same sort of vibe where it is just kind of like dark side of what's actually going on.
I like that though. Like a good movie, there's just no holds barred. Like this is what it's like, and it's fucked up.
Yeah,
Doesn't make me super fucking depressed like the really depressing ones, but that's probably good. You don't like life isn't horrendously awful all the time forever.
No, there was always a glimmer of hope at some point.
I mean, you see the
In
kids running
everything.
around in the trees, like that's nice.
yeah, and I mean even the ending, although people have died, there's kind of a glimmer of hope.
Yeah,
they're
they're
going
getting out of
somewhere
there.
better.
Yeah.
It's not like Bicycle Thieves where the ending's just like, oh fuck.
Yeah. It's like it's a cycle and you can't break it.
Yeah.
And it's always like this. That
Wow.
movie's fucking depressing as fuck.
Yeah, I know.
That sounds great.
Yeah, you'd hate it. It's horrible.
Mhm.
I can't stand films that just want to beat me down to make me want to
Yeah.
die. I'm just not a
I
fan
already
of
know
them.
the world sucks and is shit. Just give
Yeah.
me something nice.
Isn't that what films are meant to? I'm meant to like break away from this for a little while, not be reminded of how horrible places are.
Sometimes you need to be reminded though.
I
Yeah, of
know,
course.
but you know, like I feel like almost
Sometimes
all
you
the
need to
time
watch
this is
an
what it is,
Indian
yeah.
movie from the 50s to realise that either nothing has changed and we need to do something about it, or like this is what this was like over back in those days in this
Yeah.
part of the culture.
Especially like something like this where it is like, at least for us, set in a different country, is
Mhm.
a completely different culture to us. It kind of like makes you realise that you maybe, there's people in the world that don't have things anywhere near as lucky as like, or as
it's
good
a bit
as we
of
do.
column A and a bit of
Mhm.
column B, really, isn't it? Like if you think about, sure, this country is definitely going to the shit in terms of where we're all headed, but we're not quite at the point where we're literally making shacks out of fucking bamboo and corrugated cardboard. Do you know what I mean? Like
Not yet.
we're quite fortunate at the moment, but
Give
we're
it a
also
couple
When we
months.
got fucking
We're
Holly
slowly
Willoughby
getting
and
there.
Philip Schofield like doing like a spin the wheel type deal on Good
It's-
Morning, trying to pay for
dystopian,
people's heating bills. That's where it's fucking headed.
absolutely dystopian shit right there. Like I saw a TikTok of like someone joking about it, like, oh, in 2045, there's going to be old people watching This Morning, and they're going to be like, call in now, so you can get, when they do
Yeah.
like the car giveaways, and it'd be like, you get free heating for 24 hours, and I was
Yeah.
like, and then the
Yes!
next day I see
must
what,
have it.
and what do I see?
When we're fucking mad maxing it down the roads, that's
Yeah.
made out of all the potholes because nothing ever got fixed.
Yeah, because
We're
no one
just
can
spitting
afford
fuel
it.
into our exhaust pipes.
Like, I just didn't even think that it had gotten to the point where you see fucking Philip Schofield on TV like, what do you think about your energy bills? And the woman's like, oh, we're really worried about them. And I was like, oh my fucking God, this is actually real. Like that TikTok wasn't even like memeing.
I'm a little bit cold, Philip.
It's awful. Yeah, but I know what you mean though. Like, it's definitely a lot worse
Yeah.
elsewhere.
I think it's important to just kind of be reminded about how
You've got to be humble
how
about
shit
it,
can be.
a little bit.
Especially like how shit, even if it's like nowhere near as bad now, like how shit it was maybe in the past. Obviously, I don't
Yeah.
know if things are any better there.
But they had
What,
it
in India?
Yeah, I can't
Oh, I
imagine it's any
I don't
different.
know. Maybe. Depends
Like,
where you are,
at least
maybe.
in like the poorer parts, that's what I mean.
in the slums.
Yeah.
But that's like the kind of things that you get in like Brazil and stuff as well. Like
Yeah,
those
the
are
shanty
areas that have,
towns.
they've been shit and they will always be shit. Because you're either really poor or you're really rich, pretty much.
But they had each other. They at least had each
Yeah.
other.
There was a community,
And-
I guess. Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, it's. I think this trilogy is a lot to do with community and like losing people, but like understanding that you need to like try to either maintain relationships or seek them out if you find yourself alone.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's something that in the trilogy you realise that Apu has none of, really. Well, the longer it goes
It
on.
just keeps going for him.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll cap off this discussion. We'll do it out of
What are you thinking?
Sweetmeats.
Sweetmeats.
Uncle Sweetmeats.
Uncle
please.
Sweetmeats.
Yeah, I thought this was a really great movie. I was like struggling to stay awake during it because I'd literally just gotten back from traveling for like half the day. But I did think it was like really interesting, like really well made. Like I said, considering that a lot of the people had never done any movies before, I would definitely rewatch it because I think I would probably get a lot more out of it on a second viewing, especially knowing the context of the other two movies. But for now, I'll give it 8 sweetmeats out of 10.
Yeah, I think when you throw yourself into it, there's always something you need to go back on and rewatch. We're only watching these once each, so bear with if we don't pick up absolutely everything there is to pick up from it. But yeah, I had a really good time with this movie. I do think it's quite important, and I know it's not for everyone. I wouldn't say like, oh, you gotta watch this one. It's like, watch it if you want. It's pretty good, especially for what I'm looking for in a film. I'll give it 7 sweetmeats, Uncle Sweetmeats out of 10.
Sorry, I just love the name Uncle Sweetmeats. It's like my new favorite thing. I guess this one's kind of hard to talk about because I thought it was like really slog-ish.
Yeah.
But like now we're actually talking about it, I appreciate like the themes and like stuff it was going for anyway, but now that I'm not watching it anymore, I kind of can take that a bit more into context rather than sitting there thinking, fucking hell, I've just sat here for 2 hours and I'm bored out of my mind, which is kind of, I guess I appreciate it more without watching it. Or
in
after,
hindsight?
After hindsight rather than like actually watching it, because I don't think I could watch it again. I just couldn't. It's just too slow for me. Like there's just, like nothing happens for a while, but then everything happens all at once. There's a lot of nothing happening for a long time.
It is like it's an important movie, but it is also an Indian movie in black and white from 1955.
Yeah, it's something to consider if you're a bit
it's
like
2
me.
hours long as well. It's quite long.
So just consider that if you ever want to watch it. I wouldn't say I don't think you shouldn't watch it.
Yeah. I like it because I'm a freak.
Yeah, I'm just warning everyone that it might be one of those things that you just probably wouldn't want to watch.
It's not a good date movie.
6 Uncle Sweetmeats out of 10. I mean,
babe, do I have a movie for you tonight?
This definitely is not the trilogy.
Do I have the trilogy for you tonight, babe? The second one is called Aparajito. Came out the next year, 56. It's also directed by Mr. Ray. And this one is the middle one. It's about Apu again. He is older now. He lives... oh bloody hell, where does he live now? They went to Kashi, which is along the Ganges. They're living there. Him, his mama, and his dada. And his dad dies, and they have to fucking leave, and it's all about him going to school, trying to get like a scholarship to Calcutta. That's basically the whole movie. He's not seeing his mother all that much because he has to go to school.
He's learning English.
He doesn't know why he wants to go to school other than he has to go to school. You know,
yeah.
To make something of himself. Otherwise, he would just have been a priest like his father. He could have inherited like a priestdom, but he decided to go out and carve his own path. He wants to be his own man. This is the movie.
Yeah, that he did.
Yeah, I think like the first half is pretty much just like the first movie again. Pretty much.
Well.
Until I think like his father dies, and then the
I feel like that happened quite early on.
I swear it was like halfway through the movie.
I think it was about half an hour in or something.
Yeah,
it was quite early. But supposedly...
But there is like a point like halfway through the movie where it does switch and he's suddenly a lot older.
Well, yeah, because supposedly this film was meant to be straight after the first one, but Apu is definitely older in this movie.
Yeah,
so I don't really see how that works.
The second and third movie make one book, like in terms of the books. Like I think this movie is like the first third of the follow-up book, and then the third movie's the rest of that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand how they formatted it in a way to be like, this is straight off of the first film, but
Yeah,
has
it's like
only to
set
do with
straight
a different
after.
book. I guess if you're going to do it as a trilogy, it does make sense. But it's just kind of, I find it really bizarre how you could have like this film be the exact same film.
This kind of feels like another Back to the Future 2 situation where this is kind of just like there to tie the
bridge it
gaps
together.
between first and third movie.
Yeah, to be fair, I can't imagine how you would fit the third movie into the first movie. Unless you were just like, hey, remember this guy? He's back again. And he's like 30 years older or something. You'd be like,
Yeah, I mean, we say we're like, oh, it's kind of started almost directly after the first movie, but they got like a different actor to play Apu. So in the first movie, who was he played by?
you tell me.
He was played by two actors, I think.
What, in the first movie?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
There was like one in when he was a bit younger, and then one where he grew up a little
like
bit.
when he was a young little child baby. When he was a baby, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
They didn't like wait for that guy to grow up. Now you're 5 years old or something. He was played by Sabir Bandopadhyay, I'm sorry, in the first one. And, yeah, Sabir. And in the second one, Aparajito, he's played by two people. And he starts as Pinaki Sengupta, and then when he's older, he's played by Smaran Gosal. I don't know why they needed to like recast him if he was just younger though anyway.
I think that actor from the first one just quit movies entirely.
Yeah,
he was never in anything else. So
Yeah,
It's so depressing.
Because I'm pretty sure that's what Letterboxd says. It says something like following directly from the first. So yeah, if you're going to hire someone else, that's probably the only reason to do it, is if they just were like, nah, I'm not doing this shit anymore.
To be honest, I didn't actually know it was only a year apart. I thought the reason why was because there was like a gap of a few years and he got older. But
Nope.
But to be fair, like I said, it did take him 3 years to make the first movie, so I don't know if they filmed all the stuff with him like first and he grew up by the time they finished it. But
I mean, that is fair enough, but then he could have just been in that second one. But then, yeah, if he didn't want to do it, then...
It could be, I don't know,
Yeah.
it doesn't really distract from it
no,
that much,
it
you know?
doesn't really
No.
matter
You
that
get the
much.
story they're trying to tell.
I'll be honest, I don't even notice, really.
He doesn't even really look that different, to be
No.
fair. He
No,
looks
it's
quite similar.
Yeah, roundabout.
Just didn't hit me until you see the older version of him at the end of the film. You're like, oh, okay. That's definitely someone else.
Yeah.
He's a big boy now. Yeah. I thought all the stuff in like the city that like, they were staying looked really great in Kashi. Like these fucking huge towering walls and like the big staircases and all that, and the Ganges where people were bathing each other, and the guy swinging that massive ball on a stick around.
Yeah, I like that guy that he
this
was like...
fucking guy was
he was
hench.
Oh, yeah, that was
wasn't
cool.
He was like,
Look
whoa.
what I can do. He starts swinging this ball around on a stick.
I was kind of like, what the fuck? How do you do that? That's
We
crazy.
were like, oh, that's really impressive. It was just like him just staring at this guy, and I was like, yeah.
This better not awaken anything in me.
Did we say that? We were like, oh, what? We just find out that Apu's like gay. This is one of those
Well, it
kind of
seemed like
movies.
it. He had a like very
He
like
did have a very much-
homoerotic relationship with his friend.
He had a very
Mhm.
strange stare at that guy as well, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know. I thought, like, okay, first of all, the description was spoiled for us. Like, when we started the movie.
Oh,
like, because
yeah.
we watched this on Prime, and the description goes like, Apu's dad is dead. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, literally.
So the whole time, it's just like, his dad's gonna die, his dad's gonna die, his dad's gonna die. And he fucking dies, and you're like, oh man. How
Do you
does he
know-
die? I don't know.
Do you know what's really funny about that though? That, I didn't notice it, but on the first movie it says about his sister dying. But I didn't read that because it was the bottom sentence.
Mhm.
But on this one, it was the top fucking like 3 words. It was like,
Oh, really?
Apu's dad has
Yeah,
died or
I
something. I was
didn't
like,
even
what?
notice it on the first one.
yeah, it was like
God.
the bottom sentence. I only noticed it
Why would you
afterwards.
spoil that?
Why is that? Yeah,
Who's
why are they
writing
doing
these
this in the plot
descriptions?
points? Like, just so you know, in this film, Apu's dad dies. He has a gay awakening.
His mum dies at
his
the
mum
end.
does. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I like how the description was like, oh, his dad is dying or has died, and his mum's trying to keep it from him, but he sees his dad die. So I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't think
So how did he die?
I don't think
That's
the
what
plot
I wanted to
description
know.
makes
It was like-
sense. The Ganges
I mean,
water.
I feel like he was bathing in the Ganges, and that's just like swill.
Yeah, he got cholera
It's like
or something.
Yeah, he got cholera, he got dysentery or something, fucking died. Because that river is just filled with shit, obviously.
It's like murky, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's not like, oh, he went out, he went to do some shopping, and then he died.
Yeah, he
It's
got like a hernia or something.
But then, like, what is it? His mother was like, Apu, go get some water from the Ganges for your father. I'm like, don't do that, Apu.
That's what put him here in the
He goes
first
to
place.
get it, he fucking drinks it and dies immediately.
Yeah, he takes like one sip and then that's it.
Oh my god,
It
wasn't that
cuts to
bit
like
so
the shot
dramatic?
of all the birds flying away.
Yeah, like his eyes start widening and he's like,
It's like, what did you think was going to happen? You fed him shit.
you literally gave him double dysentery.
Drink this, father, you will get well. This healing power water. I really convinced myself that the monkeys were going to be more of a thing in this, because Apu, there's still a lot of animals going around.
Yeah.
There's monkeys in Kashi where they are, and Apu feeds the monkeys. At one point, I was like, he's like their leader. This is
I thought you were
great.
joking.
You will become the king of the monkeys.
Yeah, the Indian Tarzan.
Yeah, you will be him. But and then they leave Kashi because his dad dies. I'm like, I really got it into my head that he was going to do more with the monkeys.
The monkeys were kind of cool though. I'm not gonna lie. Like they
Yeah.
have their own like little scene where they're like they're getting fed and shit. And I'm like, oh god, you wouldn't fuck with a monkey, would you? God,
No, said it a million times. Don't fuck with monkeys.
it's true. There's also
Don't do
donkeys
it.
in this one.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, love those donks.
They were cute.
But imagine like going all he's got like such a horrible life like this whole time. It's like, oh, okay, my aunt died, then my sister died, then then our house flooded, so we moved house. Now we're in Kashi. My dad died. Okay, we have to leave. And I was like, oh fuck's sake, nothing goes right for this guy. And then at the end of the movie, his mother dies. You're like, what?
Yeah, like this trilogy was literally like getting punched in the throat and then kicked in the
Yeah.
balls. Like this was just like, it was just painful.
Well, I think this is where the idea that you brought up earlier, Max, about, spending time with people and community comes into play. Because it's kind of like, you kind of basically say, spend more time with your family because anything could happen to them, make the most of the time you spend with the people that you care about, because if you don't, one day they could just go and
They're
you
gonna
could,
die.
yeah, you could
They could drink Ganges
regret
water
it.
and die.
The whole second half of the movie, he's away at school and doesn't spend
Yeah.
any time with his mum, doesn't, contact her or anything, and she
She's getting
dies.
ill.
Yeah, she
Horrible.
gets ill and dies, and he's like just living it up, being
Yeah.
gay.
Yeah, sort of.
Being gay.
That's what happens, you know.
Oh, what, hanging out with what's his name? Ashit.
I don't know,
Is that his name?
but the stares he was giving him, there was definitely something going on there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what he's definitely a bisexual icon. So
Yeah, the OG.
But you know what? I don't know. I don't really mind those kind of parts of the movie where he was like at the school, because I felt like it was like, he's going out there, he's learning,
He's trying,
he's
It was
working,
like, can you do can you go
Yeah.
to school in the day and then come here and do the press work at our like little journal place in the night? He's like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, no, you can't.
Yeah, Max was like, fuck off.
He spends too much time doing the things that he thinks is important, when in reality, I get the idea of trying to make something of yourself. I love that he's trying to do that, but I don't know, I feel like he lost sight of it. He lost sight of what was important in the end.
Yeah.
And his mother is she's just like begging him to come back home. She's like, just come back home. Like, but what do you mean? Like, he's bunking off classes anyway. But then he goes back home to his mother. She's like, can't you stay another day? And he's like, no, I have to go to school. He's like, well, what does it matter if you're like bunking off school anyway? Like, what are you doing? She's dying. It's horrible. She's had such a hard fucking life of it. She had such a hard go of it. It's horrible.
I feel like that's a classic. Like, I reckon he's supposed to be like a older teenager
Yeah.
in these films.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
get
and
it.
that makes so much sense because as a teenager, you never wanted to hang out with your family. You never
Don't want to hang out with your mum.
wanted to, I don't know, be in your like hometown or whatever. You always wanted to do
Yeah.
something else. You always wanted to do something more or something better.
But
So I
don't know.
totally get it.
Extenuating circumstances, Apu. You know, all of your family is dead.
Yeah, you
Your
would have.
mother is living in a strange place that she doesn't know.
You should have kept
all
a better
alone.
eye on her, you know.
All alone. You know.
Because he's supposed to be like, I guess, the man of the household now. Like,
Yeah.
in theory. I mean, I don't really believe in that kind of thing, but obviously that is like part of culture, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
usually someone
Especially
dies
back
and
in
you
the
become
50s.
you become part of the hierarchy. It's like you weren't keeping an eye on your mum. Like your mum's literally dying before your eyes. She's given you all of her savings and gone. Don't you think this is weird that I'm giving you all of my money? Like, you know, like as if she knew she was
Yeah.
dying or something. But he just wasn't paying attention.
Well, I think she wanted him to succeed.
Yeah, and who could blame her? She was like, God, everyone's had such a shit life and you're the only one left. Go do
do it,
things.
yeah.
Yeah. And I can't blame her because I think any parent would probably be the same. They always want better, don't they? They always want their kids to have better than they did. And I feel like this is a classic film to show that kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
of course, your parent wants you to spend all of your savings on doing something better for yourself, but, you know.
Yeah.
Sad,
It was like
isn't
a line that somebody said earlier in the movie, which was some guy said, "Is it possible to live happily without a family?" I thought,
It depends on your family, doesn't it?
Well, I guess it was more like without people or like without community.
Yeah, I think family can be chosen,
and
right?
that does feed into like the themes
yeah.
of like family and like being there for each other. But he kind of goes off in his own different strand and forgets about it for a little bit. It's not really his fault. Obviously, he's going to want to go off to school and do something with his life
Mhm.
and not like just be a priest, which he could have done. But it's like that's just not who he is. I get it. You don't want to live your life as a lie, but at the same time, you got to think about these things, you know.
Yeah, I guess it's just once again, when you're a teenager, I guess it's logic that kind of just falls out the window for the most part, isn't it? But he grows up pretty fucking quickly towards the end of that film once his mum dies. So he's like, shit, I'm actually by myself now. But yeah, he seems to make the most of it, if that makes sense. Like he's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, something I really liked about this movie is like where I feel like the first movie is very, very much kind of rooted in like this specific place and this specific environment. This movie like feels almost a bit more universally like relatable, like the ideas of, you know, love and, you know, just like the things that he goes through in this movie. It feels a little bit more like you can understand it or like relate to it, like no matter where you are. It's kind of more universal in that way, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can all relate to that, you know, I think. And about like carving your own path and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
He was like, right at the end, he was like, that guy comes up to me, he's like, what about your mother's rights? You're not going to perform your mother's rights, like she's dead. He's like, no, I'll perform them in Calcutta. He was like really dead set on like doing what he wants to do with his life, and I guess it kind of leaves it. He's quite lonely at the end. He is very broken up about it, as he would be. That's like all he had left was her. And I guess he didn't really realize it until she died. And that's like, I think that's something that probably a lot of people have had to go through. You don't know what you have until it's gone, you know? And
Yeah.
You gotta understand what you have. Otherwise it will be gone and you drink Ganji water and die.
Yeah, if you get too caught up in like trying to carve your own future and, you know, trying to move forward with everything and like and forget to look at the people around you and, you know, look at the relationships you have and kind of live in the moment a bit, then, you know, you're going to be regretting it when you move past it and you don't have any of that anymore.
You'll be just like Apu.
Yeah.
He ain't had it good. He ain't had it too good. I don't have all that much more to say on this movie. As I said, it's kind of like it's a middle one, you know, and it is like half of a book. Or like, I got the sense in the third movie, I thought you could have just like split this movie in half, but the first half at the end of the first movie and the last half at the beginning of the third movie, and you could have had like a really tight fucking 2 little movie set there. This feels like a waypoint more so than any of the other movies. It does feel like it's kind of floating there.
Yeah, it's a bridge rather than a
we have to
component.
be here, and then like we have to do these things to get to the point where we go into the third movie. So in that sense, it was kind of the weakest one for me. I was kind of getting a bit bored, and it is like still 2 hours long. I feel like it could have been shorter, but that's like technical stuff. I don't know. I'd still enjoy all the themes that it's exploring.
Yeah,
but it's also I just feel like they could have cut it in half, put them both to each side, and we could have had like a really strong 2-movie thing.
Yeah, like it would have been longer, but it would have been.
Yeah.
I think the flow would have been there at least.
It's not to say this is a bad movie, because if it was in those other movies, it would have been great. You know, it's part of a greater whole. That's why I think this trilogy is kind of a masterpiece. And I do understand why it's lauded as such, you know, and how it changed Indian cinema in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a purpose at least. Unlike Back to the Future 2.
It's like the Back to the Future 2 of India, but it's different.
Because it's better-ish.
Oh, it's definitely better.
What should we rate this one out of?
Ganji water.
Ganji water.
I love that Ganji water.
This is a movie that when we were watching it, I wasn't like, I definitely got a lot out of it, but I wasn't in love with it. But like the more time I've spent away from it, and the more I've like kind of thought about it and thought about what it's actually going for, the more I actually respect it and get a lot out of it. More so than the first one. I feel like a second time around, I will probably like really, really like this movie. I think it will probably click a lot better with me. But for now, I still think it's a really good movie. I give it like 7 Ganji waters out of 10.
Yeah, I appreciate the whole thing. There's like a whole, and as part of a greater whole, I appreciate Aparajito. But in terms of like a singular narrative, I don't know that it does enough to hold my attention all that much, especially considering how long it is. But I still appreciate what it's going for and the themes that it presents. And it's still horrible when people die and you see Apu alone at the end of it. I'll give it 5 Ganji waters out of 10. I feel like I could go up if I watched all of these again, maybe in sequence or maybe separately, who's to say.
Yeah, I think I got to agree with the whole idea that it works better as a sequence piece than it does as a individual piece. Although I would actually say that this one probably has like some of the most important like key aspects to it, like with like, you know, with like key characters dying and like the fact that he has to go to school and all this other kind of stuff. Like I feel like there's like really big key components in this one, but it's just, I don't feel like it's enough. Like they have all this stuff going on, but then like nothing going on at the same time, and I don't really understand how that works. So I'm gonna give it 6 Ganji waters out of 10. Don't drink the Ganji water.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
The next one is called Apur Sansar, the world of Apu.
The only one we knew the English for.
Yeah, it's all it says on Google. I don't know. I'm calling it Apur Sansar. This is about Apu. He's older now. He lives alone in his apartment. He's behind on rent 3 months or so. He's a young bachelor.
Sounds about right.
This is about him again. His friend,
I mean, it is,
he's trying to be like a writer, is trying to make something of himself. It's not really going his way, I don't think. But his friend, he comes up to him, he's like, Apu, come on holiday with me. We're going to go on holiday. And Apu's like, yeah, all right. So they go on holiday, and bunch of shit happens on this holiday. Apu ends up getting married, and it's about like his relationship with this girl. It's also about him trying to search for love and meaning again after having been through so much hell in his earlier life. I won't give away too much at the moment, but yeah, what do we think of this one?
Yeah, this one's fucking incredible.
Easily the best one, which is something that you will probably never hear on this podcast again, because usually the third one is the one where dreams go to die.
Yeah. It's just like, this movie, it's like, I think it's the perfect final piece of a trilogy because what makes it work so much and what makes it so powerful is the fact that you've seen this character grow where he is. It's almost like a great finale of like a TV show where you're kind of like looking back at where like the character started when you started it and seeing where they are now. You know, you really feel like you go on this like big journey with this character through life, and like especially the ending, it's so beautiful and powerful seeing where this character goes. And I think the context of the first two movies just only heightens this movie.
Well, yeah, it's kind of you've spent so many hours consistently, I guess in our case especially, with this one human being that like he like it doesn't even exist, but you would believe that he does. You know what I mean? Like I could believe that I just watched the life of someone in some sort of like 3-part documentary, and I got so invested into it. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where that's why it works so well, because you kind of you almost you feel him. I can't explain that actually, but you know what I mean? Like you relate to him, but you don't relate to him.
You've seen his whole life in the span of fucking 6 hours. It's insane.
Like,
yeah.
Fuck, I've spent so much time with this guy.
What other kind of movies do this? Like when you spend that much time with a character, or like when it's like when you watch TV, or like when you spend so much time with a character, you understand who they are almost.
Yeah, it's like watching your friend.
Yeah, it's
almost.
Like Boyhood, but like far more powerful.
Yeah,
it's like Boyhood, but good.
Yeah, I mean, Boyhood was all right, but yeah, it doesn't quite hit the spot like the end of this. Did I say the end of this trilogy? Because easily I could have, I could have happily have just like not watched the first two, but as Max said before, you need to watch the first two.
I mean,
it contextualizes
to feel it.
It does contextualize it, but I would say you could probably watch this movie on its own and still get a lot from it. I think you'd still think it's great.
Get as much from it though.
You definitely wouldn't get as much.
I don't think it would hit you though.
I don't think the ending would hit you quite as hard.
No,
but I do think it would still work and stand on its own. You could still watch this without watching the other two.
Yeah, I think it could easily be a standalone film, but yeah, it wouldn't have the same sort of
punch, you know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
you need him losing everyone in his life. You need him losing his aunt and his sister in the first one, and then his mother and his father in the second one. Like everybody he fucking loves dies.
Yeah, like he's
like the Indian Wolverine.
Yeah, like you kind of, because there's like, especially if you didn't watch the other ones or whatever, there are like parts in this film where you sort of like you kind of understand why he does the things that he does, considering the trauma and stuff that he's been through. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. And then it hits a bit harder because you like spent like so long watching all of these people just fucking die, and it's like horrible, but it's really understandable. Like, oh, of course he's kicking off about X, Y, and Z because guess what? Someone else has just died. Yeah,
probably got PTSD.
Like we were having such a great time. We were like having a laugh. Like some of it was
Half
really
of this
fucking
movie
funny.
is a comedy.
It was so funny. And then out of nowhere, he goes, saves the railway baby. That's another story we'll get into in a second. And then 2 seconds later, finds out his fucking wife's dead. And we're like, great. Brilliant.
They did such a good job of like making it seem like they were in love. It's not something that like it was an arranged marriage. He had to step in after the groom was like mentally deficient. Just like, I guess I'll marry this woman, and like, what do you know? They actually kind of like each other. It's crazy, and like they don't show all that much of it in terms of like sexuality or any of that stuff. But it's just like them, like a montage of them hanging out and like interacting with each other, and it's just nice, you know. It's like she gets up from the bed and like he stares at her, and it's nice, you know. It's really it's great, and you get the sense that actually they do love each other, and they have this relationship with one another, and so that makes it so much more sad when she does die in childbirth, and it's horrible.
I didn't even know she was pregnant. I was so confused when he was like, it's da, 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 and I was like, what? When did that happen? Because I thought she went home for like 3 months or so. I was so confused. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
What?
She went home, didn't she, for like 2 months or something? Baby. The fuck? Oh, I must have completely like just missed that entirely.
I'll be honest, I also missed it. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I didn't even realise she was pregnant. Like,
she was just going back home to see her family.
That's what I thought was happening. I didn't clock onto any of it. And then
Well,
it
it
was
could have
like,
been that.
oh yeah, by the way, you have a
She needed
child.
to
And I was
have,
like,
yeah,
oh.
she needed to complete the pregnancy there.
No, I had no idea.
I mean, it
Nah.
makes sense because they were like,
It makes sense now.
she was like, you need to come for this festival, otherwise I would never speak to you again. And I assume the festival was literally just like a birthing ceremony or like a birthday party or something.
Yeah.
Which is it's probably going to be a birth thing, wasn't it? It's probably like, oh, you got to come for the birth of yonder child.
Yeah,
Which
rather
makes
than
sense now.
she was going to Glastonbury or something and he had to
Yeah.
join.
We're going to do so much Mandy on this day. Come here now. I will not call you again. Like writing him letters, like calling him a liar, and like you said you'd write 8 letters, you only sent 7, and I'm jealous of the girl who lives next door because she gets to see you every day. And it's like, oh man, if you don't come, I'll never see you again. Like, that's great. That's so great. She's such a G.
Yeah.
I really liked her. And she was only 14 when they filmed this. It was
She was
fucking
15.
crazy. Well, when they filmed it, she was 14.
Oh,
He was
so she
25.
15.
And you say what you want about that, but it's like they don't show anything explicit or anything. I think they do a very good job, and I think they were both like first-time performers or something. I think this guy
Oh,
was
cool.
cast because he auditioned in Aparajito, but he didn't get it. So that's great that he's in this now. I think he does a great job like, throughout, showing the emotions of the character and like how much turmoil he's been through in his life, and like having such levity at the beginning and then quickly twisting it around, like you understand how harrowing it all is and like,
Yeah.
how much upset he's been through. So few actors can do that.
Yeah, he pulled off like an incredible job, I think, especially like towards the end of the movie where he kind of like after his wife dies, he just kind of like runs away from everything,
Mhm.
runs away from the kid. He's like hidden away. He's working, isn't it, like in a coal mine or
Yeah,
something.
he's just like
Yeah.
ostracized himself from the world. Pretty
yeah, and
much.
his like friend comes to see him, and he's just like, I can't go back. I'm not a father. Every time I
Mhm.
look at him, every time I'd look at him, I would just think about how he took her away from me and stuff like that. It's like just his performance and like those scenes are just so heartbreaking.
Well, yeah, because it's like we were, like we were joking around about like, oh, don't give him the baby because the baby will die. But it was like that's probably how he actually feels. Though he's probably
Yeah.
feeling like, God, everyone around me just dies.
Yeah, and he
Do you know
also
what I
like
mean?
he also feels that he's like the kid's responsible for the
Well, yeah,
woman he
there's
loved dying.
bit of column A, bit of column B. He probably
Yeah.
feels guilty and he probably
Yeah,
wants to
they
shed a
flat
bit of
out
blame
say,
on
like
him.
he says, I don't want to see him, he took her away from me. Something
Yeah.
like that. But then it was also like everybody he loves dies. I'm sure he was thinking about that.
Yeah, like I'm
If I
saying,
let
yeah,
this child into my life,
it's a
it's
bit of
just
both.
like I have no money. Like,
yeah,
what am I going to do?
it's
Mm.
just
He's gonna
like
die.
a cycle again. Like, what if it happens again? What if the kid
Mhm.
dies and he's left with no one again? He's like spent his whole life going through all this like upset and like losing the people he cares about. I imagine it must be like really hard, like ever wanting to connect to anyone again.
Yeah, it's like it's just it's difficult, isn't it? Because you kind of think, well, you know, he's how do I even explain this in like in terms of like you think you just never want to talk to another human being again, right? But
That's why he goes on his like little pilgrimage that he goes on, works in the coal mines forever and doesn't see or talk to anyone.
yeah, because
gotta
in the
hide
beginning
himself
of the
away.
film, when he was all like happy and go lucky about the fact that he was like a free agent and never had to worry about anyone ever.
Mhm.
And then doesn't he go home with his friend at Christmas or something? And his mum's like, "Oh, welcome home, son." And then he has that look on his face like, "Oh shit! Like no one's ever going to welcome me home again because I ain't got any family left."
Mhm.
Anyone else pick up on that? I was like, "Fucking hell! It must be so sad."
Well, he was taken there because his sister was, or his friend's sister was getting married. It was like, come on, we'll do it. You'll see the rolling plains and the cows and all that. And he's like laughing. He's like, all the trees, Apu. You'll see the trees like, why are you laughing, bro? You're like describing all these lovely things. He's like, that's hilarious.
He
What
thought
do you
everything
mean?
was so funny.
Yeah. Because he's a renegade. He's a lone ranger, a lone wolf. He's out for himself. He's got to get the things that he wants to do in his life. But it's at the detriment because he never lets anyone in. He never lets anyone in. He never lets himself find love.
Don't really
He
blame
said it
him
was funny.
though,
He's like-
considering.
His friend comes around to his place, like, you've gotten fat. And his friend says, I was fat 3 hours ago.
That bit was so funny. I
Uh,
felt like it just came out of nowhere as well. And I was like, oh, okay.
he's also, he wants to be a writer, and he's like, oh, I'm going to write about romance. But his friend was like, do you have any experience with girls? He's like, no. So when he's like, takes the proposal, I was like, he's going to like, this is like a really horrible way for him to like experience romance and be able to write about it.
Yeah.
That is true, yeah.
And then when he's with her, he's like distracted from writing because he loves her so much.
That might have been the motivation, who's to say? It took him like 10 seconds to decide that he would actually marry her.
Yeah.
Everybody comes up to him and is like, Apu, the guy, the groom, he's insane. You got to do it instead. And he's like, that's it. That's fucked up. I'm not going to do that. And he turns around and he's like, looks at a tree and he's like, maybe I will though. And he does it. It's like,
Yeah.
what the
Well, I
fuck?
get it.
He did have a lot of pressure on him. There was like, his friend was there and there was like a group of guys just stood there.
Well, think of it as well. He doesn't really have anything to lose, does he, by
he
marrying
doesn't
some
really have
random
anyone
woman?
anyways.
Some
Yeah,
rich
like-
girl.
He's like, oh, I could just start again, I guess.
Yeah.
Good writing material. Ha ha ha.
Like when he said to her, will you be able to endure being poor after they were married? And
I
was
like how you just told me,
damn.
yep.
I was like, that's what I'll
Yeah.
say when I propose.
And then she instantly complains about it.
I like the bit where she just starts crying at the window, like, oh, I'm so poor, shit.
Would I do this? No.
That bit made me howl. I was like, yeah.
Well, it literally says to her, you must be sad. It's like, she was like, no. She was crying. It was like, you
She's sobbing.
fucking liar.
Oh, God.
And it turned out they had a good time together.
Yeah, because
He found love. He accepted it into his life.
I feel like this is another one of those things that I always say, the thing where it's like,
It's not about what you do, it's who you're with.
that kind of thing. You know, it's not always about money, is it? It's about, like, building good memories and
Yeah.
shit.
I mean, they find ways to, have a great time
Yeah, and they
together.
survive. They manage to keep living in that apartment. They're never on the street at any point.
No. They can afford to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
Well, she was very rich.
Yeah.
So that's where
Yeah,
I
that
feel he
probably,
got the
yeah.
money from.
No, yeah, definitely.
I got the sense like she had never seen a movie before or anything. He was like, I'll take you to see a movie. That was great. That movie was fucking crazy. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Oh, yeah. It was all like, put your mind powers on him, stop
Yeah.
him meditating, whatever the fuck it was.
And there was a point where I just stopped taking notes because I was so enthralled by the movie and I forgot to write that down. But it was so great. I watched it again.
And Chris was like,
That's
look at that
great.
sick transition. And Max was like, what do you mean? And then it was
Yeah.
like,
Whoa! It like
fuck.
zooms
Yeah.
out the screen. It turns into a window.
because we watched
Yeah,
it like
it's
twice.
so cool.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
How
that
did
bit
they
was
do
great.
that?
Visually, this is just like a really beautiful looking movie,
It
just
was
generally.
cool.
I feel like with every single one of these movies, it's like on the technical level, you can see like so much improvement. Just every, like, in terms of music and visuals, I think every single movie's better than the last.
But I love that you mentioned the whole like visuals of the movie, because, and this is going to sound really dumb, right? But I have never ever seen any snow landscape in a picture of India ever, and then all of a sudden in this movie, there's fucking snow. There's like a whole bitch of snow,
Yeah,
just like a whole plane
they
of
really go
snow.
for it.
And I was like, "Fuck, that looks so cool."
it's watching a director who had never directed a movie before make one movie after another and slowly get better each time in terms of the direction. It's
That's how it should be,
wonderful to
though,
see.
really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to check out more of this guy's work.
Yeah, he has loads of stuff
Oh,
in
does
the
he?
Criterion collection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
So-
bet he does.
Definitely
Oh,
want
okay.
to check
Are these
some
his
of that.
first films then? I assume they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if he made them one after the other or whether he did other stuff, but
don't know. They're pretty close together.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like you'd have to spend a lot of time on these.
These are like epics in a sense.
He fucking wasted no time though. He was like, right, that one's finished.
Yeah.
Let's go, boys.
Now let's make a masterpiece.
Next scene, please.
Now let's make something that changes the cinematic landscape forever.
To be fair, I think this is the first Indian film that I've seen that hasn't been like. What was that film that we watched?
what RRR that we watched like 40 minutes of and had
Yeah,
to turn
like,
off because it was so boring.
It was like finally, it wasn't a film that was just
Rajamouli,
Huh?
director.
Yeah. Yeah, the director of this apparently did 29 feature films throughout his
29.
career.
Damn. I'm guessing he's. Oh yeah, he's probably not.
Yeah.
not of the Earth.
No, he died in 1992.
Okay, that makes sense. I forgot how. I was like, the first film came out fucking ages ago, does it? Probably not here.
Yeah, he made literally films like consistently up until he died.
Yeah,
What a geezer.
Yeah, like why not though? I guess it was a passion, and you never really retire, do you? When you're in the creative industry, as I've been told a million times.
So yeah, he made the first two back to back, or at least he did the first one, then next one a year later, did two more movies in 58, and then this afterwards.
Yeah, damn.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise it was like that, but okay.
Got to talk about the third act. Third act that broke me down to to tears.
No, we're not. Yeah, we are.
He's got to go find his son, who's been neglecting him the entire time, sending him money every so often.
For 5 years.
Yeah, okay, great. I sent him 2 batches of money in the 5 years. What do you want me to do about it? And then he actually goes to see him, and it's like, of course he runs away. Like, who the fuck is this guy? He goes into his bedroom. He's like, hey, Kajal, it's me.
He's not even
Kajal's
introduced.
like, who the fuck is this geezer? And he runs away. It's like, yeah, of course he runs away. He doesn't know who the hell this guy is.
Yeah, like he was so upset, and I was like, why are you upset? You literally just walked into this child's room and scared the shit out of him.
And then he leaves, and the kid runs after him. It's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm your friend.
Before that, it was like, he's like, yeah, I guess I'll take the child or whatever. And no, it was like right after he went into the bedroom, and then Kajal runs away, and then the guy who was looking after him, he's like, Kajal, get the fuck back here. And he raises his cane at him, and then Apu's grabbing his cane. He's like, well, don't do that. Don't hit him. I was like, oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Because in that moment, both you and Apu realize this kid has been abused his entire life, and he shouldn't have been abused. You could have saved him, Apu, but he's had it rough just like you have. You can save him from this. And that's that was a big point where I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to cry.
Shit.
And then it's this whole end part is that acceptance of letting love back into your life and actually trying to make a go of it when Kajal goes with him. He says, yeah, like Chris says, oh, who are you? He doesn't want to say I'm your father. He says, I can be your friend. We can go away. And the kid's so fucking happy about it. And then he's just riding on his shoulders off, and that's the end of the movie. It's
that was
oh
so
my God.
cute.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank fuck.
I was
it
just so
could only have
happy
ended
for
that
him.
way, but I'm so glad it did.
Yeah, I was getting really choked up during that. It's just such a sweet moment.
I was getting really worried because there was those parts in the film where it would fade to black for a little bit, and I thought this can't be the end. This cannot be the end of the film. And then it would just keep going. And then when it actually ended, it was great.
It's 2 characters who have suffered throughout their entire lives, coming together in that, and finding out they have something in common and just trying to make a go of it and trying to be each other's friends. And who's to say he'll tell him that he's his father in the end.
He did tell him though.
He did, but he wasn't listening, and there was a lot of high adrenaline. But who's to say? But in this moment, it's they can make a go of it together, and that's encapsulates the whole trilogy.
It was really sweet. It was
about finding family and understanding each other.
It was a very wholesome ending, and I think it's exactly what we needed after 6 hours of just brutal content.
Yeah.
It was
that's why I say you need those 2 other movies for the kick at the end.
Yeah, you unfortunately need to watch the first 2, but I think you obviously in practice you could watch it without the first 2, but it's not the same.
No.
I hope that makes sense. That one you probably could watch as a standalone, but it just won't hit you the way it's supposed to hit you. These films are made for that particular reason. You kind of want to be holy shit, that was that was a lot to take in. But I was just happy for him. I really was. I was just rooting for him. I was like, fucking hell, there's only so many bad things that can happen to this guy, surely. Jesus.
You would think.
I know. Well, we'll never know now, because I heard there was another movie afterwards, but
there was definitely a thematic purpose to it all. I read that there are 2 deaths in each movie. So, in the first one...
Who was in the third
one? Well, I'll get around to it, if you just let me explain. So in the first one, it was his sister, and then his aunt, and then his sister. And the second one, it was his mother and father. And this one, his wife dies, and apparently the second death, apart from the hog, was like his own psyche. There was a point where he tried to kill himself. He stepped almost in front of a train, and then the train hits a pig, and he survives. Like he has to crawl back, and that's like the point where he kind of has to claw himself back after like a 5-year pilgrimage of being like lost. It's kind of like a walking ghost or a corpse or whatever. Like, he has to resurrect himself in that way, and that's found when he meets his son. And there was a lot to do with trains as well, which was like in the first movie they were running towards the trains. They were like, look how lovely this train is. Like this is a sign of like going further and like getting out of this place and exploring more and impersonal forces that bring about change and separation and death. And that's also used in the second movie and also in this one where he does try to commit suicide, and it's like, oof. I actually didn't realize that when I was watching the movies, but I read about it a little bit afterwards. I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
What, that he was going to...
No, just like how trains are used to convey like momentum in that way.
Oh, right. So I thought you meant about what he was doing. I was like, it was very obvious what he was
like
doing.
Trains and all of these, aren't there?
Yeah, but I think in the first one, I remembered them being like, oh, one day I'll take you to this train or whatever. And like everyone that's ever said that has basically like died on him. And I thought maybe he would be like, it's that beacon, isn't it? Like, one day I'm going to get on that train and I'm going to do something else with my life because no one else has been able to do it with me. And it's like, damn. And then you do go on that train and you do go somewhere.
We all get on trains at the end.
To be fair, trains are pretty shit though, aren't they?
Not on this.
No, these were back in the
this,
days
they're
when
great.
Trains were reliable.
There's a great shot in the first movie where it's like shooting sort of the underside of the train. You see them kind of running towards the train through like the field. That looked fucking crazy. That was so great.
Yeah. I just read that apparently this movie actually, the novel it's based off, there's like another like part afterwards. There's like another section of the book which like it's like a more definitive conclusion, but I think he decided that where it ends was like the perfect place to end it. There's a movie that came out a few years ago called like The Wanderlust of Apu, made by a different director, which does adapt that last bit.
Okay.
I'd be interested to check
makes
that
a whole film out of what? How big are we talking?
I don't know. I don't know how long the book is, but I imagine it'll be like the second movie was, where it's like the first third of that book.
Fucking hell. I just don't think it needed it.
It doesn't need it.
It kind of ended in a way that it was satisfying enough, and you got everything that you needed from it. It was like, cool, he's starting again.
So
we love that for him.
2021.
Yeah, it's like really recent.
Pardon? Really? I thought you were talking like at least 10 years ago.
No, like really, really recent.
Holy shit.
Of a movie.
I wonder if they got the same guy.
What's it called? Maybe I'll look it up.
Wanderlust of Apu. Yeah.
Apu.
Yeah, this is a great movie. I don't know if we have all that much else to say on it.
I don't.
But it's super tight, and it doesn't feel its length. But it caps off the trilogy in a wonderful way that made me feel like, yeah, you know what, there is something here. This is a great trilogy, and it does stand the test of time in that way. It is important. You know, I love it.
Yeah, it almost like makes you like rethink the whole experience as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. You can't have this one without the others. Just can't. Not in the same way.
Yeah. What should we rate this out of then?
We'll what does it do? We'll rate it out of hogs.
Hogs. Okay.
A lot of hogs in this.
Yeah, this is just like a really, really beautiful movie. It's just like half the movie's really funny and like fun, and then the second half's like a massive kick in the heart, but it's like it works and it comes together as one really great piece. And just watching the first two alongside it just makes it, the ending especially, hit so much harder. I think this is like a perfect 10 hog out of 10 movie.
10 hog.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I love it. Favorite Indian movie? It didn't have all that much to compete with. But, I mean, if this is the bar, Jesus. I love this movie. It's so lovely. The whole trilogy is wonderful. Go and watch it. Do it. It's an exploration, and it's like an epic into one man's life, and there's parts to pick out of it that you can relate to, and it changed cinema in India for that reason, I feel, and it is very relatable, and it does talk about like passages through lives, and we can all relate to like where you put your time, and like where how you interact with the people around you, and how you express love, and who you let into your life, and how you can get lost along the way. But it doesn't matter all that much when you're with people who love you and that you love too. I'm gonna give it 10 hogs out of 10.
10 hogs out of 10.
Ooh.
Thanks, Ray.
Something I forgot to bring up, in the first two, when we watched it on Prime, they started off with a disclaimer message that was
yeah, they did.
do not smoke, smoking causes cancer,
Yeah.
and do not drink.
Drinking causes cancer. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, that was
Especially
strange.
since like the smoking bit was like translated into Indian as well. So they'd say in English and then in Indian, and the bit about alcohol was only in English.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know why they did that.
I have no idea what to make of that, to be honest.
Cool. Thanks. I feel like I should know this geezer's name by now. Satyajit Ray. Thank you for that. Next episode, we got a guest. But first, we're going to do... I feel like we could do the spinning wheel for the show that we're going to do first. For episode 95. We're going to do season
Don't
1.
you 94?
No. I mean 95. We're going to do a show. And Chris is going to tell us... He's going to spin a wheel. He's going to tell us what season of what show we're going to watch. It's going to be season 1 of what show we're going to watch.
Yeah. Ooh.
The Expanse.
The Expanse. Pretty sure it's on Netflix. The Expanse. I'm pretty sure it is.
Never even heard of it.
One of those sci-fi ones.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's on Prime, at least.
Oh, okay, well, that's cool. Everyone's got
We're going to watch
Prime
season
here.
1 of The Expanse. Listen to that in episode 95 in 2 weeks' time.
Chris, are you looking it up?
Yeah, so
How many episodes is it?
one Just Watch, it said 1 episode on there, so I need to check.
We got 1 episode to watch for episode 95. Next
Yeah, no,
time.
it is all on there. We're good.
Cool. Next time.
It's an Amazon original, that's why.
And you also didn't tell me how many there were.
10.
Okay.
Cool.
Sorry, carry on.
Next episode 94, we got a guest, my friend, Hannah Buckingham. She has chosen some movies to watch, and they are some movies by director Derek Jarman. We've got The Last of England from 1987, Edward II from 1991, and Glitterbug from 1994. Thank you, Hannah. We will watch those avidly.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay.
He's a director I've been meaning to watch. Pretty sure it's got a movie called Blue, which is just a static shot of a blue screen, and the whole film's about him losing his eyesight because he had AIDS.
Well, if the rest of those movies are as fun as that sounds, we're going to have a great time. We got social media,
Woo!
YouTube, The Sunday Movie Marathon, Instagram at Sunday Movie Pod,
Woo!
Twitter at Sunday Movie Pod,
Woo!
Facebook at Sunday Movie Marathon,
Woo!
and Letterboxd at Sunday MM capital S capital MM. Remember to like, subscribe, and rate the podcast 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. Any last words?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Brilliant. Yeah. Just we just don't need a last word.
Thank you. Come again.
Is there a chance the track could bend?
Not on your life, my Hindu friend.